Today I'm going to be talking about dollhouse lighting, adapters, tips, tricks, techniques, and tools. And in some of my other videos, you've seen me when I'm putting together the adapters with the lights really struggle with the wiring where, I've twisted it with my hands and I take upwards, 20, 30 minutes sometimes when I have a tough one, because if you have those little stray wires out there, well, you can't thread them through the little insert that has two little brass, you know, tubes, and they have to be precisely threaded through those brass tubes. And so it makes it really hard when you're using your hands. I've never known a different way in the 20, 25 years I've been doing it. So today I want to show you a really much easier way of doing that. Thanks to my friend Vern at Circuit Concepts. So I have a few other tips for you that I'm going to tell you too. So first of all, this just gives you an idea how it's different. So up here would be your light. This would be your adapter. You've threaded it through. Now what I've shown you before is I cut it here and then I just twist those wires by hand. Now this shows that, he has cut the wires up here and then pulled the insulation down. Fantastic. I'm going to show you how to do that. Before I do, I also want to tell you about another little tip that between these two, when you put them together, you put them together with super glue. And I've struggled with that, and you see me struggling with that in my videos. So one tip I learned was that you take a little toothpick and you dab the super glue on instead of squirting it out with the tube. And then you can put it together and not get it all over your hands. Fantastic. I love it. The other tip I have for you is when you're using the canopy adapter. And this is an adapter where you stick the wires through, and they have two little screws that you screw around. Now in my videos, I've taken a little screwdriver that I'll show you here, and I've just tucked that under all the way around, and then I screw it down. Now I've learned from Vern that another way to do that is to, you don't have to do it, take all your wires and get them all the way around. What you can do is you can get them around once and you can clip them either with my great little scissors or with a fingernail clipper. So I thought that was a great tip. So I'm going to go ahead and start showing you this. And I have a piece of wire here. And so one thing that Vern suggests is that you take and you rub these out. Kind of use your fingernail and rub these out, because apparently the wires can get kind of stuck to the insulation. So after I've done that, then I'm going to get my glasses first. And then I'm going to take my scissors, and you can use a razor blade for this. And I'm going to clip this. This is a wire that is basically it's two wires in this set, so in this piece of wire. So then I pull it apart, and I'm going to do a couple inches, and then again you might want to do a little bit of rubbing. Now if you don't have these little strippers, which I love, you can get them at Circuit Concepts. They're CK1052. You can use your fingernail, but I have to be honest, I haven't had a lot of luck with that. And I'm sure it can be done, but apparently my fingernails may not be that great at it. But I love this tool. I would not do it without it. So basically, I've showed you before, but you're going to apply some pressure at the tip of this. And what's going to happen is if this thing is sliding while you're pulling on it, you're not applying enough pressure, okay? So I got it to go, but you don't apply too much pressure or you can pull the wires off, okay? And that you don't want to do when you just paid, $40 for a light. It can be very upsetting. So I pull it off down a little ways, okay? How much, whatever I think I'm going to need. Vern has this great demonstration, and he puts kind of like a ½ inch, and that you have kind of 2 inches. I'm not that precise. I just kind of eyeball it, but if that helps you, then you're going to take and you're just going to twist this like that. Now I have, like I said, I have spent like 20, 30 minutes twisting these and whatever else and trying to get the fine little wires to wrap together. So this is a fantastic little tip and technique that I have never known about doing all my dollhouses, and I love this. So, having shown you that, I just want to show you a few other tools that I also like to have. When you're first putting your dollhouse in, well, all the way through when you're doing your dollhouse, you're going to need certain tools. I have a little hammer. These help hammer in the little brads, the little eyelets, whatever you need. I really like this. Now, when you're first doing your dollhouse, you have to have one of these. And this is a tester. And it basically goes in your tape and so that you can see whether you have a good connection. This part will light up if you are. I have that in another video, by the way. And you find in your light, you've already taped it, you've already connected it, you've already plugged it in. And it's on. And you can see a little light will light up when you have a good connection. If it flickers, you don't use it. You get it a little better so that it's a solid one. And the next thing you do is you got to make those holes a little bigger. So I have a couple of tools for that. This one's probably my favorite. It's probably really good for the brads, but I also like to use it for the eyelets for me. I just like it, but I think it's mostly for the brads. But you have to make those holes bigger for eyelets to get in there. So this is great. You can see this has quite a thick little thing, and that is, some eyelets are bigger than others, so it kind of depends which ones you're using and which tool you want to use. This is Circuit Concept carries these, variations of these, and I love that. I use that all the time for my little screws in my dollhouse. This thing is great because it's when you're putting in little brads, and when you're putting the tape together, you're putting in a lot of brads, but you're also, on occasion, you're putting brads in other places. I mean, after you've got it all done, you're not necessarily putting those in, but when you're first doing it, you can see how the brad would go insert into here, and then you take and you push it into the house like that. Love that. It's a necessity. Now this is another tool. Love it. Used it a ton because it's another one that when you get like the bigger eyelets, you can have a really hard surface. This one's great. It's a little drill. And I love my little tools. And last but not least, these are very handy to have, these forceps. And all these things are sold at Circuit Concepts, CIR-KIT concepts.com. Great customer service. Love their products, lights, everything. And these work great just putting brads and things like that in place, eyelets in place where you want them before you start to hammer them in. Okay, I'm happy to answer questions, or please feel free to leave some comments. And thanks for watching again today.